Let's be real, most men are getting it backward. They're out here chasing, begging, proving, pleasing, thinking that's how you win a woman's heart. But the truth is, the moment you put her on a pedestal, you've already lost. Why? Because real power in a relationship comes from knowing your value and never handing it over for free. The truth most men don't want to hear is this: she needs you more than you need her, but only when you carry yourself like a man who doesn't need anyone to complete him. You see, in today's dating world, too many men are operating from a place of desperation. They think they have to do more, say more, give more just to be chosen. But women don't chase men who chase them. Women chase men who are grounded, independent, and detached from validation. The moment you stop trying to impress her and start living for yourself, she feels it. It shifts the entire dynamic. Here's the truth no one tells you. Women want to feel chosen by a man who doesn't need them. They're drawn to power, not the loud, aggressive kind, but the silent, unbothered confidence that says, "I'm good either way." This video is about reclaiming that power, not by playing games, not by being disrespectful, but by flipping the script. When you stop proving and start leading, everything changes. She becomes more invested, she becomes more attentive, and suddenly she's the one trying to win you over. Let's break down the 7 truths that will show you exactly how to shift the power back into your hands where it belongs. Ready? Let's go. Number 1, she feeds off your energy, not your effort. Most men think effort equals value in relationships. They believe the harder they try, the more a woman will love them. But what if I told you it's not your effort that keeps her attached? It's your energy. It's the way you carry yourself when you walk into a room. It's your calm presence, your unbothered confidence, and the way you don't look to her for approval. That's what keeps her interested. A woman doesn't stay because you sent her good morning texts or took her to expensive dinners. She stays because your masculine energy makes her feel something deeper: security, strength, and direction. Think about it. When you're overly available, always chasing, always asking her what she wants, you become predictable. And the predictable man never holds power. In a relationship, he becomes the easy option. The guy she knows will always be there no matter how she acts. That's not attractive. That's not powerful. Women are emotional creatures, and what they truly crave is emotional stimulation. That comes from your presence, not your pursuit. When a man is rooted in himself, when he's not trying to impress, not trying to win her over, his energy becomes magnetic. She starts asking herself, why isn't he trying harder? That curiosity turns into interest. That interest turns into obsession, because now your lack of neediness forces her to step up. She starts feeding off your calm control, and you didn't even have to say much. In today's world, where most guys are trying too hard, the man who doesn't chase stands out. The man who can sit in silence, who can let her come to him, who doesn't flinch when she pulls back. That's the man who has the power. He knows she needs him more because his energy is rare, not desperate, not over-explaining, just solid. When you stop giving all your power away by trying to prove yourself, you'll feel the shift. You'll notice how she leans in more, how she texts more, how she starts trying to impress you. That's not an accident. That's nature. She feeds off your energy, not your effort. If you want to keep your power, stop working over. Time to win her. Just be the man who doesn't need to chase to be chosen. That's when everything changes. Number 2, she respects the man who can walk away. A man's greatest power in any relationship is the ability to walk away and mean it. Not as a threat, not as a game, but as a deep understanding that his value does not depend on her presence. Most men fear walking away because they're scared of losing her. But the truth is, the moment you're afraid to leave is the moment she starts losing respect for you. Why? Because women can sense when you're emotionally dependent, and nothing kills attraction faster than a man who makes her his everything. Let's be honest, we've all been there, caught up in a woman so deeply that we ignore the red flags, overlook the disrespect, and justify behavior we'd never accept from anyone else. And why do we do it? Because we're afraid she might leave. But here's the twist. When you're not afraid to walk away, she becomes the one afraid to lose you. That flips the entire script. She starts checking herself before she disrespects you. She thinks twice before pulling away, because she knows this man won't tolerate nonsense. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself more. It means your self-respect is non-negotiable. It means that even if you want her, you won't beg, chase, or compromise your dignity just to keep her around. And that kind of strength, it commands attention. It earns her respect in a way flowers and gifts never will. Modern dating has created a generation of men too afraid to let go. They tolerate being breadcrumbed. They stick around hoping she'll see their worth. But women don't reward weakness. They test for strength. And the ultimate strength is walking away without turning back when you're no longer being treated right. Now, here's the part most men don't realize. When you walk away with your power intact, you don't just walk away from her. You walk into a higher version of yourself. You start focusing on your goals, your growth, your purpose. That energy is attractive. That energy makes her wonder what you're doing without her. And often she'll come back, not because you manipulated her, but because your strength awakened her curiosity and desire. But even if she doesn't come back, you've still won. Because you didn't lose yourself trying to keep someone who didn't see your worth. You chose you, and in choosing you, you became the man who can never be truly rejected, because you don't chase validation. You don't fear being alone. And that kind of man, that's the man she respects, desires, and can't stop thinking about. Number 3, detachment is power. Most men think the way to win a woman over is through intensity, through constant attention, through showing how much you care. But here's the truth that flips the game. The more emotionally detached you are, the more power you hold. Not because you're cold, but because you're calm, because you're in control of yourself. Detachment doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you don't get controlled by what you feel. It's the quiet strength that makes a man unshakable. And that's what pulls her in deeper than any fancy words ever could. Women don't fall in love with men who overexpress. They fall for the man who has a mystery about him. A man who can enjoy her presence without being owned by it. When she can't figure you out completely, when she senses you're not emotionally tangled up in her every mood she chases, it's instinctual. See, when a man becomes emotionally dependent, he becomes predictable, reactive. He starts walking on eggshells just to keep her happy. And from that point on, he's lost all leverage. He becomes easy to manipulate, easy to read, and eventually easy to forget. Now here's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics weren't robots. They didn't suppress emotion. They just refused to let emotion govern their behavior. They practiced discipline over reaction. They knew that peace is power, and power in relationships doesn't come from control. It comes from not needing to control anything at all. When you detach, you're saying, I'm good whether you come or go. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect, that's emotional independence. And paradoxically, that's when she starts attaching. Because now she's not just with a man, she's with a force. She feels it when you don't argue, when you don't beg, when you don't try to fix everything with validation, when she expects a reaction and all she gets is your calm, your silence. That's when she starts questioning herself, wondering what's really going on inside you. That uncertainty creates tension, and tension is attraction. Now, most men hate that silence. They want to talk things out, resolve everything instantly. But you have to understand, emotional distance isn't always damage. Sometimes it's discipline. Sometimes it's the clearest signal that you're not here to perform. You're here to lead, with presence, not pressure. Detachment also makes you harder to replace. Think about it. If you're always available, always emotionally wide open, she never gets the chance to miss you, to wonder about you, to value the moments when you actually open up. But when you hold space, when you're selective with your energy, she starts to realize how rare your presence actually is. And that's the power of scarcity. The less emotionally available you are, the more impact you make when you do show up. She stops taking your energy for granted, because now it feels earned. Here's a rule to live by. Never attach yourself to a woman more than you're attached to your own peace. That one mindset will protect your dignity, your identity, and your future. You'll never feel trapped. Never feel like your happiness depends on someone else's attention. And the irony, when you stop chasing closeness, closeness starts chasing you. Because at her core, every woman wants a man who doesn't need her but chooses her. A man who loves from strength, not from emptiness. That's what makes you unforgettable. So if you want to be the man she thinks about long after you leave the room, don't focus on giving more. Focus on needing less. Pull your power back into yourself. Let her feel the weight of your silence, the value of your time, the comfort of your stillness. Because detachment isn't about playing games. It's about not playing yourself. Now here's your turn. In the comments, finish this sentence. I protect my energy by... Let's see who's really got that calm power on lock. Number 4. The less you react, the more she invests. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat back and let silence do the heavy lifting? When you didn't react to the little games, the subtle tests, the pokes for attention. See, most men think they have to respond to everything. But here's the truth most never learn. The man who reacts less receives more. Because when you don't react, you stay in control, not just of the situation but of yourself. And that's the energy women can't get enough of. Now let's be real. She will test you, not because she's malicious, but because it's in her nature to seek emotional grounding. She wants to feel that the man standing in front of her is solid, not fragile, not easily thrown off balance. When she says something provocative, when she's moody for no reason, when she withdraws a little just to see what you'll do, it's not always about the words. It's about the signal she's looking for. And if you take the bait, if you chase, if you start explaining yourself, apologizing, overcompensating, she instantly knows you're not the grounded man she hoped you were. But when you stay calm, when you stay still, when you say less but mean more, she starts to lean in, she starts to invest. Because your lack of reaction says more than any comeback ever could. It tells her, I'm not here to compete emotionally, I'm here to lead emotionally. That kind of power doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it doesn't flinch, it just stands firm. This is where Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That's not just some abstract quote. That's the blueprint. When you stop reacting, you stop giving your power away. And once you stop handing it out, people have to earn it, including her. Now think about this. When a woman is fully certain of your attention, when you're always showing up with big emotions, when you validate every little thing she does, there's no mystery left, no tension, no spark. But when she's not sure what you're thinking, when she has to work to understand you, when she feels like she's not 100% certain where she stands with you, now you've got her attention. That tension, that's what makes her invest. It's not about being cold. It's about being composed. It's about showing her that your emotions don't live in her hands, that you're not going to jump just because she flinched. This applies in arguments too. She raises her voice. She throws out a dramatic line. She storms off. The moment you raise your voice back, you're now playing her emotional game. But if you stay calm, if you pause, if you simply look at her with stillness, you change the dynamic. You shift the energy. Now she has to meet you where you are, not the other way around. And here's what happens next. She starts trying harder. She becomes more mindful, more intentional. Why? Because she respects the fact that you won't fight for her attention. You stand still and let it come to you. That's the man she remembers. That's the man she wants to impress. Because he's rare. Reactivity is cheap. It's easy. Anybody can do it. But stoic presence, that takes discipline. That's the kind of energy that holds power in every room and every relationship. So the next time she tests your silence, don't break it, hold it. The next time she says something to get under your skin, let it bounce off. Not because you're pretending not to care, but because you truly don't let chaos disrupt your center. She'll notice, and she'll start matching your level. Less emotion doesn't mean less connection. It just means more control. And women are drawn to the man who can stay in his frame no matter what. So stay cool, speak less, feel deeper, and let her meet you where you stand. And now it's your turn. In the comments, drop this simple truth. I control my peace. Let's see who's really walking like a man with purpose. Number 5. She fears losing a man who's fulfilled without her. Let's get one thing straight. A man who's already full of purpose, of clarity, of direction is the one she can't stop thinking about. Not because he needs her, but because he doesn't. That's the paradox most men never realize. The less you need her, the more she wants to be needed by you. And it's not about playing games, it's about being real. You're not chasing because you've already got something worth waking up for every morning. You're not texting her all day because your day is full of training, building, learning, working, living. You're not trying to impress her because you're already impressed by who you've become. That kind of energy can't be faked. It comes from living a life that's yours, not one designed to attract her attention. Women sense it instantly. They know when a man is trying to orbit their world instead of pulling them into his. Here's what they don't teach you. Emotional independence is more attractive than physical looks. A man who's emotionally grounded, who doesn't rely on validation, who isn't moved by every up and down, he holds the real power in the dynamic. When you become that man, the game shifts. She starts watching you more closely. She listens differently. She feels that subtle, unspoken tension, the kind that comes when a woman realizes you're the type of man who could walk away and still be just fine. Why? Because you were fine before she showed up. This is where fulfillment matters. Not as some abstract philosophy, but as a lived reality. Your fulfillment is the fire she sees in your eyes. It's the reason you speak with confidence. It's why you don't chase chaos, drama, or temporary highs. You're not here to be completed, you're already whole. Now here's the thing most people miss. Women don't fall for men who beg, they fall for men who build. And when you're building your body, your business, your mindset, everything about you becomes a magnet. Not because you're seeking attention, but because your energy says, I'm on a path. You're welcome to walk with me, but I'm going either way. That level of certainty is rare, and rare is irresistible. Let's take it a step deeper. From a Stoic lens, Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. That includes relationships. When you realize that her affection, her mood, her availability are all outside your control and you stop anchoring your happiness to them, you free yourself. And ironically, that freedom is what draws her closer. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel she's chosen by a man who didn't need to choose her. She wants to earn her place in your world. not be handed it. So you keep working, you keep moving, you stay rooted in the life you're building. Because if she sees you're fulfilled without her, she starts asking herself the one question that shifts everything. What if he stops choosing me? And that thought, that's where her fear comes in. Not because you're playing with her emotions, but because you're not trapped by them. And here's the final truth. The man who's fulfilled without her creates space for a better connection with her, because he doesn't show up from desperation, he shows up from wholeness. He brings clarity, peace, depth, and she knows it. So don't dim your light to keep her. Don't shrink to stay close. If she respects you, she'll step up. If not, she'll fall away. Either way, you win. Because you never gave your soul away just to be seen. Now I want to hear from you. If you're building yourself regardless of who stays or leaves, drop this in the comments. I am already whole, because that's the truth that shifts the dynamic. Number 6. The man who controls the pace. Let me tell you something, most men never understand whoever controls the pace, controls the frame. And the man who moves slower than she expects, who doesn't rush in just because she's showing interest, is the man who instantly flips the dynamic. You've probably been told to strike while the iron is hot, to escalate quickly, to move fast before she loses interest. That's not masculine energy. That's panic disguised as enthusiasm. When a man moves too fast, he reveals something he doesn't even realize: his lack of control. And once a woman senses that you're emotionally running to catch up with her, the attraction quietly starts to die. Now flip the script. You slow things down. You don't match her energy. You let her feel the space between your moves. Suddenly, you're the one dictating rhythm. And that subtle shift, that's where her curiosity gets ignited. Why isn't he texting back immediately? Why didn't he try to kiss me yet? Why is he so comfortable in this silence? That's the beauty of pacing. It creates tension. It builds a kind of invisible pull, because every moment you hold back, she leans in a little more. Not out of strategy, but instinct. We chase what doesn't chase us. We want what doesn't come easy. And when a woman sees a man comfortable in restraint, she wonders what makes him so grounded. That's when the mystery starts to unfold. She begins to sense you're not just another guy reacting to her looks or her body. You're evaluating, observing, deciding. That's rare. And what's rare is powerful. The man who controls the pace is signaling something primal. He has options. And more importantly, he has standards. He's not rushing because he knows his worth. He's not pushing because he doesn't need to. This isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic. The Stoics had a word for this kind of energy: apatheia. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're not ruled by emotion. You act when it's time. You wait when it's wise. You move when it matters. That's what pace control looks like in action. And it's not just about dating. It's how you run your business. It's how you train. It's how you show up in every part of your life. You're deliberate, intentional, and calm. Women feel that. They don't always know how to name it, but they feel it in their nervous system. See, when you rush, you hand over your center. You start reacting. You fall into her frame. You try to meet her tempo. And without even realizing it, you stop leading. You become the one trying to prove your value. The moment you do that, she knows she has the upper hand. But when you slow down, when you control the escalation, the timing, the rhythm, you remind her of something deeper. You're not just a man who wants her, you're a man who chooses her. And there's a difference. Choosing her means you're watching, you're reading her energy. You're assessing if she fits into your world, not just chasing because she smiled. That subtle but powerful shift is everything. It moves you from pursuer to prize. And not because you say it, but because you embody it. So stop rushing the moment. Stop speeding up intimacy. Stop trying to close the deal. You're not selling anything. You're not performing. You're revealing. And the slower you reveal, the more intense her curiosity becomes. Because what's not immediately available becomes unforgettable. And if you're the man who controls the pace, you become the man she can't stop thinking about. Not because you flooded her with compliments, but because you left her wondering, what's next? Now I want you to drop this in the comments, if you're the man who moves with purpose, not pressure. I set the tempo. Say it, mean it, live it, because once you master the pace, the game changes. Number 7. She submits to the man she can't control. Let's be honest, a woman doesn't fall deeply for the man she can wrap around her finger. She doesn't crave the one who bends every time she pouts. And she doesn't respect the guy who tries too hard to keep her happy. You might think that doing everything right, being available, being agreeable, is what makes her stay. It's not. It's what makes her bored. She may smile, she may play along, but deep down she knows one thing: she holds the leash. And the truth is, no woman wants to walk a man. What draws her in, what makes her lean forward, what keeps her mind spinning, even when you're not around, is this: the man she can't fully figure out, can't fully influence, can't fully control. That's the one who takes up space in her thoughts. That's the one she starts to chase. Because here's the thing most men never learn. A woman only truly respects a man she can't dominate. And respect is the foundation of attraction. If she loses that, everything else crumbles. But if she feels it, if she knows deep in her gut that you're grounded in your own power, that you won't fold under pressure, that you don't need her approval to stand tall, something flips inside her. Suddenly, she's not managing the dynamic. She's submitting to it, and not in a forced way. Not because you demanded it, but because it feels right. Women are intuitive. They pick up on energy. And when a man walks in a room carrying presence, not desperation, she feels it. Her defenses lower. Her mind quiets. She softens. Submission isn't weakness, it's trust. And trust only happens when she believes you can't be manipulated. She tests you not because she wants to destroy you, but because she wants to feel you're unshakable. She'll push, she'll provoke, she'll poke at your emotions not to hurt you, but to measure you. Are you truly who you say you are? Or are you like every other guy who falls apart the moment she pulls away? A stoic man isn't afraid of her emotions. He holds space for them. He doesn't panic when she gets distant. He doesn't chase her when she pulls back. He doesn't play her games because he doesn't play games at all. He lives by his values, not her moods. That's rare. That's irresistible. You want to know what makes a woman submit emotionally? It's when she realizes you don't submit first. You don't bow to her beauty. You don't change your standards to keep her around. You don't adjust your mission to fit into her comfort zone. You keep building. You keep leading. You keep choosing peace over chaos. And that kind of man isn't common. The woman might flirt with power, but deep down she wants to feel yours. Not in dominance, not in control, but in calm, in strength, in direction. Think about this. The ocean doesn't try to impress the shore. It just is. Powerful, immense, unmovable. And yet, everything eventually surrenders to its pull. That's you when you're not chasing, not pleading, not over-explaining, just being. When you stop being overly accessible, when you stop catering to every demand, when you stop fearing her disapproval, she sees a different kind of man, one that doesn't react, doesn't shrink, doesn't fold. And that's the man she can't forget. The man she respects enough to trust. The man she trusts enough to follow. And the man she follows because, in her deepest feminine core, she wants to surrender, but only to someone she knows won't break when she does. So ask yourself, are you showing up as the man she can't control, or the one hoping to be chosen? One leads, the other waits. Now, if you know where you stand, drop this in the comments. I move on my terms. That one sentence says it all. Be that man, stay in your frame, and everything else will fall into place. Number 8. Lead her without needing her. There's a difference between leading and chasing. Most men confuse the two. They think leadership means controlling her every move or constantly proving themselves. But that's not leadership, that's insecurity wearing a costume. Real leadership is calm. It's silent confidence. And the key to it? Not needing her. When a man leads without neediness, he becomes magnetic. She senses that his life is moving forward with or without her. He isn't dragging her along. He isn't asking for permission. He isn't looking over his shoulder to see if she's impressed. He's just going. And that's what makes her want to follow. Women are deeply attuned to energy. When your energy says, "I need you to validate me," she pulls back. But when your presence says, "You're welcome to join my direction, but I'm not waiting," that's when she leans in. She wants to feel your direction. She wants to feel your clarity. But most of all, she wants to feel that your life doesn't revolve around her. That's not cold. That's masculine. That's stoic. Because when you live with purpose, a real one, she becomes part of the story, not the reason for it. That's the shift. Most men place her at the center of their world too soon. They lose their edge, their hunger, their forward motion. And she feels it. That's when she stops following. That's when she stops trusting. But when you lead from strength, when your path is bigger than the relationship, she gets pulled into something greater than herself. It's not about being dismissive. It's about showing her you're not afraid to walk alone, and that you won't walk in circles just to keep her happy. Leadership is about direction, not domination. It's about knowing where you're going and inviting her to walk beside you, not ahead of you, not pulling you off course, not weighing down your pace. If she steps out of line, you don't yell, you don't beg, you don't spiral, you keep walking. And trust me, if she's the right woman, she'll catch up. If she's not, she'll fall away. Either way, you win, because you stayed in your frame. You don't owe her control over your mission. You don't need her to believe in your vision before you act on it. You lead because that's what you do. With her, without her, always. And here's the truth she won't say out loud, she respects that. Deeply. Because a man who doesn't need her to lead is the only kind she'll ever want to follow. Now, if that hit home for you, here's your comment prompt. I lead without needing. That's it. Simple, sharp, true. Write it below, let it sink in, then live it. Number 9. Stop explaining, start moving. The moment you start over-explaining yourself, you're already losing ground. Not because what you're saying isn't valid, but because the need to explain is rooted in insecurity. And women feel that deeply, especially in relationships where power isn't about control, but about energy, who's grounded, who's chasing, who's trying to prove. Men who explain too much think they're being respectful, clear, or emotionally available. But that's not how it lands. To her, it often reads as, "I'm unsure of myself. I need you to approve of me. Please don't leave." That tone, it kills attraction. Not because you're being honest, but because you're asking for emotional permission instead of standing in your truth. Now, don't get this wrong. It's not about being emotionally closed off. It's about understanding the difference between sharing and justifying. One is powerful, the other is desperate. A man on purpose doesn't spend his time trying to convince a woman why he deserves to be in her life. He moves, and his movement says everything she needs to know. Let's bring this into real life. A man says he's not okay with something, maybe her disrespect, her emotional manipulation, her hot and cold behavior. If he says it once, calmly and directly, that's leadership. But if he keeps repeating it, trying to get her to see it his way, trying to break it down into some emotional TED talk, he's not leading anymore, he's pleading. And here's the harsh truth. Women respect action more than arguments. They don't trust what you say nearly as much as they trust how you behave. So when a man speaks his boundary once, then acts on it without drama, he sends a signal, a powerful one. He's not here to win her approval, he's here to win with or without her. That's what Stoic presence looks like. It doesn't chase clarity, It creates it by how it moves. Think about Marcus Aurelius. That man wasn't sitting around explaining his emotions to anyone. He was busy building his legacy, calm, focused, immovable. He wrote to himself, not to impress someone else. So when you catch yourself defending your every move, stop. That's your moment. Your cue to shift from validation to motion. If you're walking in purpose, your path doesn't need to be explained. It's felt. She'll either respect it or resist it, but either way, you're no longer negotiating your direction. Women crave the man who can look her in the eye and say, "This is who I am. This is where I'm going." No pitch deck, no emotional PowerPoint presentation, just grounded certainty. That's sexier than six-pack abs. That's what makes her lean in, not because you're pushing, but because you're already gone, if she's not with it. Let her chase clarity. You deliver truth in action, and if she can't meet you there, she's not for you. That's the cost of masculine power, losing the ones who aren't aligned, while attracting the ones who are. So let me give you something to write in the comments that proves this clicked. I move without explaining. Say it, type it, and more importantly, live it. If she asks why you've changed, don't break out a long story. Just smile, keep walking. Let your silence speak for itself. Because a man who stops explaining and starts moving becomes unforgettable and untouchable. Number 10. Presence over performance. There's something that hits different about a man who's just there, not trying, not performing, not putting on a show. Just present, calm, rooted. And women feel it the moment he walks in. Because presence doesn't talk loud. It doesn't posture or peacock. It doesn't need the spotlight. But somehow, it owns the entire room without saying a word. Here's the truth that most men miss. Women aren't truly drawn to the man who works the hardest to impress. They're drawn to the one who's least concerned about impressing anyone, the one who doesn't need to be anything other than who he is. That kind of presence is rare, and that's why it's powerful. Performance, on the other hand, is exhausting. It's reactive. It comes from a place of insecurity, the feeling that you have to do more to be enough. And women can sense that performance energy immediately. It feels off. It feels needy. It's the guy who won't stop talking, the guy who overshares, the guy who's always proving how funny, deep, or successful he is. But instead of pulling her in, it pushes her away. Presence is the opposite. It's not passive, but it's not desperate either. It's a state of stillness, awareness, confidence in the moment. A man who's present isn't trying to control the energy in the room. He's creating it. He doesn't rush to fill silence. He lets it breathe. He doesn't interrupt with cleverness. He listens with weight. And when he speaks, it lands. This goes deeper than social skills. It's spiritual. A present man isn't just physically in the room. His mind is there. His attention is there. He's not drifting off, checking his phone, planning the next thing he's going to say. He's here, now, with her. And that undivided attention, that's erotic. That's what makes her feel chosen without a word. Stoic philosophy lives here, in presence. Marcus Aurelius wasn't out to entertain. He wasn't addicted to applause. He was deliberate, disciplined, focused. A Stoic man lives from the inside out, not chasing validation, not performing roles, but showing up fully for himself first. That's what makes him magnetic. So, let's bring it down to the real. When you're with a woman on a date, in a conversation, even in silence, ask yourself, are you trying to get a response, or are you just being real? Because the more you perform, the more you place power in her hands. You make her the judge, the decider, the one you're trying to win. But when you're simply present, you shift the dynamic. Now, it's not about approval, it's about connection, or it's not. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to make her feel something, she feels everything. That tension, that mystery, that calm. That's what makes her lean in. Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't have to say. Let me give you a challenge. The next time you're with her, wherever, whenever, don't try to be funny. Don't try to be smooth. Don't try to impress. Just be. Breathe. Watch. Listen. Hold eye contact longer than feels comfortable, and see what happens. You'll learn more in that silence than 1,000 clever lines could ever teach you. Because in the end, presence isn't what you do. It's who you are when the masks fall off. And that version of you, that's the one she never forgets. So here's your comment for this section. I choose presence. Drop it below. Lock it in. Then show up in the world like you mean it. If you've made it this far, you already know power in a relationship doesn't come from control. It comes from presence, purpose, and the ability to walk away when something no longer aligns with your standards. She needs you more when you no longer need her to validate you. That's the shift. If this video hit home, make sure to subscribe for more real conversations about men, mindset, and mastery. And if you want to go deeper, consider becoming a channel member. It's the best way to support what we're building here. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next one.